Season 3 of Bridgerton has just wrapped up, but that doesn't stop us Delulu crazy fans from speculating what's going to be happening next in season 4. So I've discovered some off-the-wall, insane Bridgerton season 4 theories and potential plotlines courtesy of our favorite crazy platform Reddit. Will season 4 be Benedict's but with a transgender twist? Time jump theories, and perhaps maybe it's Eloise's time to shine, not Benedict's. Let's get to the theories. Hi, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Samantha.
And we're sisters who love books, so be sure to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date on the latest book news, especially book to movie and book to TV series adaptations. All right, let's get started with these theories. So the first theory we got here is from a user called Unlikely Audience 585. These are spoilers for season 3, so if you haven't watched season 3, please note there are some spoilers. This is a controversial theory, but I keep getting a feeling that season 4 will follow Benedict and that Sophie will be transgender.
Oh.
Sophie's hidden identity Cinderella storyline aligns with being trans. This would explain how Benedict wasn't able to recognize Sophie after meeting her and her illegitimacy with her family. There is a theory that Cressida is Sophie's stepsister. Given the emphasis on Cressida in season 3, it would be strange for her to have a stepsister like Sophie without any reference. But Cressida could have a brother, which would explain why only Cressida is pressured to marry. The showrunner has made statements that Benedict is pansexual rather than bisexual following season 3's threesome scenes. This distinction also feels significant as we prepare for Benedict's season. The showrunner also said they want to tell more queer stories, which would imply plural beyond just Francesca and Brimsley. So much of Benedict's story is about freedom and openness, which also aligns with falling in love with someone with similar themes of self-discovery and freedom to be themselves in their gender. As I mentioned, this is just a feeling and nothing concrete. Let's discuss this. How do we feel about this? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You go first. You've known the theory for longer. I want to know your thoughts.
I do think this is an interesting take, but I wonder if they would just hire a transgender actress or they're going to add the transgender storyline as a plot, which kind of doesn't make real much sense because it's historic. It's like a historical kind of thing. But then Bridgerton has never been one to be historically accurate, though.
Yeah.
Personally, it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the show. You look at shows like Baby Reindeer, you had a transgender actress, and her being transgender actually served the plot. There was also a transgender, what's her name? She's in Euphoria.
Her name is Hunter Schafer?
Hunter Schafer.
Yeah.
So her being transgender in Euphoria was a talking point, but then you look at her in something like The Hunger Games, Songbirds and Snakes, there was nothing about her being transgender. She just happened to be a transgender actress playing a role in The Hunger Games. There's those two ways you could do that by having a transgender actress, but do you add in the transgender storyline as well? And she's hiding the fact that they're the other gender or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah. And like they said, it would make sense kind of like for the Cinderella storyline. A mask, a masquerade ball, like Benedict has some face blindness or something. You would probably be able to tell who's who.
Yeah.
And also just make for like an interesting kind of, I guess, plot twist in like the Cinderella storyline. So it's not kind of 100% Cinderella because it's a retelling. If it happens, I will be happy to go in for the ride.
Maybe he meets the woman at the ball, but like but then he's actually hiding as like a man. That's not his true self, but he's hiding that. But he identifies as being a woman and goes to the ball as a woman.
Yeah.
That could be a thing.
I guess then with that storyline as well, you kind of issues on gender and, the role of women compared to men, it would be interesting to have a character who could kind of get a taste of both sides. Yeah.
Yeah, and have it work in their favor.
Yeah.
That would definitely be a huge twist. And I wonder how some people will take it. It would be very polarizing, potentially.
For sure.
Potentially. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next theory. 3.5-year time jump to 1818 theory. I think the writers have set up one big 3.5-year time jump before season 4. Season 3 was spring 1815. Season 4 would start fall 1818. Let's be honest, it definitely could be because it's going to be 2 years before season 4 comes
Yeah.
out, which is freaking ridiculous. Anyway, Jess B said season 4 would be a shift and would be set in fall. She also said the show will have a time jump at some point. Also, if you doubt Philoise is next, please read this post and we'll get to Philoise theory in the next one, but let's keep going
Okay.
with this. So here's the evidence of a time jump. They primed the audience for a time jump with the 1+ year Colin epilogue. So we saw in season 3 at the end that Penelope and Colin have a baby, but it takes time to be pregnant and
Yes.
have a baby. They sent Cantony on a journey to India to have their first baby. Simone has said there is plenty of Cantony story left to tell and hinted on the London red carpet they would be back. Instead of 2 years and coming back with 1-year-old child, I think they will take the gift of having set up a time jump in narrative and have them come back through a 3-year-old child. They sent Cressida to Wales and we know she will be back, but a few years with their aunt would do her good. They sent Eloise with Fran to Scotland. She could spend 3 years traveling between Scotland to hide from the marriage mart. This would give her time for her correspondence and possibly a women's rights or social change publication. Gregory and Hyacinth sorely need to be aged up. Gregory would be then 18 years old, the perfect age to join in on storming Philip's house with his big brothers. The Queen died in real life in November 1818. If they choose to make this part of the narrative, which I think would be really interesting, they can shift to Prince George, the King's Regent, and potentially include LGBTQ plot with him since in real life his relationship with his wife was questionable and he was an extravagant character. Okay, so we have a few reasons there why we think there could be not like a 1-year time jump, but a 3.5-year time jump. What do you think about this?
I actually think this could be really interesting because I do know from what I've heard of people talking about the books that Colin and Penelope's book, because they switched kind of the order of things, like I think Colin and Penelope in the books when they get married, like Penelope's like 26 or something and Colin's like in his early 30s. So I guess maybe if they did that, that would also make the characters similar to their age in the books so that they could keep following along with whatever happens in the books. Yeah, I could totally see like a time jump there, especially if Eloise is going to be coming soon. So I feel like I see a lot of people, and I think I also agree, I feel like Eloise right now, as the last time we saw her, I feel like I could not see her right now falling in love and getting married. I feel like
she's built up that want in the character.
I feel like she needs more time before I would feel like be right for her character to fall in love and get married. And she's so against it right now.
I would be intrigued if maybe they did the time jump halfway through the season.
Oh,
yeah. So maybe that could be a thing versus having it at the start of the season. So that could be a potential, but I do think there is some sort of time jump. I have a feeling just from what the showrunners saying, I feel like they want to kind of switch things up and do something a bit drastic. And maybe it's more Benedict kind of trying to find this Sophie character first half. And definitely the Queen. I think that would be a good storyline for the Queen going to diet. I feel like that would be a really emotional plot line in the show.
For sure. Especially after Queen Charlotte, we're so much more connected to her now because of that show.
And then it would be introducing the new who's going to be and that would add
because
drama.
in Queen Charlotte we had that whole plot line about she doesn't have an heir because none of her kids have had legitimate children.
Let's go to our last theory we're going to talk about. I hope this is comforting post about Philoise being season 4. Both Eloise and Benedict seem to need a 1-year gap for their stories to actually begin. Eloise exchanged letters with Sir Philip for a year, and Ben looks for Sophie for a year. Season 3 ends nearly after 1 year of its beginning if we consider Pen and Colin's baby doesn't look like a newborn anymore. During this time, it is pretty possible for Eloise to be corresponding with Sir Philip from Scotland. Ben, on the other hand, will only meet Sophie at the Masquerade Ball, which is where I think season 4 will start. Knowing this, I simply don't feel like worrying for Philoise being season 4. I'm sure season 4 will start at the Masquerade Ball, which Eloise mentioned at the end of season 3 to happen 1 year from then. So it'll be a perfect opportunity for Elle to meet Philip in secret and for Ben to meet Sophie and spend a whole season looking for her. We know that every season has its main and side stories. In my opinion, if they're going to follow the books at least a little, I don't see how this could happen if Ben is season 4. Do you think it's going to be Eloise? Do you think it's going to be a shared Benedict and Eloise? Because they're kind of always partnered together in a way.
Yeah.
So that could be potential as well.
I definitely think if they put their seasons together, there might be some fans annoyed because we want each sibling to have their own time in the spotlight. I always kind of thought it would be Benedict's season although seeing this, it has kind of made me wonder. I definitely could see if Benedict is looking for Sophie for a year, I could see that setting up in Eloise's season, but then still having a season just for Benedict and Sophie. But then I haven't read the book, so I can't.
I feel
really
with
have a thought.
Eloise, I want her to achieve something in her own personal kind of human life before she's
Mhm.
ready to potentially settle down. So I
Yes.
feel like that would be more of her subplot stories in the
Mhm.
upcoming seasons. But
Yeah.
maybe she could be writing to Philip throughout season 4 as a side plot, and then that is
Mhm.
explored a lot more in her
Yeah.
season.
It's definitely looking like Eloise and Benedict's season, even if it's not a shared season, it's still going to be perhaps quite intertwined, which is
I
why
wouldn't
still want.
mind a shared season, to be honest.
I wouldn't mind either.
How many TV shows on Netflix go for like 8+ seasons?
Mhm.
I feel like they don't want audiences to get bored with the same kind of structure because I just feel like they're such kindred spirits, Benedict and Eloise.
Yeah.
Because in
Yeah.
season 1, the swing, and then I just see Eloise doing something more for, women in society or giving women a
Yeah.
voice and
Mhm.
similar to kind of Penelope's storyline where she
Yeah.
was able to take control of her career and make money
Mhm.
for herself through
Mhm.
being Lady Whistledown.
That's like the only thing that's like stopping from being like, I would want Eloise to be next season. It's just like I just feel like she still has so much more of her own personal growth. Yeah, we don't want to tarnish everything that we've already done. We've already set up Eloise to be someone who's very independent. Like Daphne says in the first season, you're going to make your own way in the world. And we need to see her make her own way in the world for that to come to fruition.
Well, that is all the theories we are looking at today. Let us know in the comments. Do you agree with any of them? Do you have any theories that we may not have heard about? We'll see you in the next video. And this is Book Clubbers, keeping you updated on the latest books, book news, adaptations, topics, and drama.